The incident took place as two Philippine Coast Guard ships, one of which the Spratlys was aboard, and two tiny commercial boats, made their way to the Second Thomas Shoal. They were met by a ship marked as the Chinese Coast Guard that was 5 times bigger than the commercial boats. The encounter between the two sides lasted several hours. Tensions between Manila and Beijing remain high after the Philippines Coast Guard cut China's barriers in disputed waters last month. Manila resupplies its outpost in the Second Thomas Shoal, in the Spratly Islands, every month to reinforce its economic rights to waters that are both rich in fish and mineral resources. Beijing claims almost the entire South China Sea, including the Spratlys, which is also claimed in part by the Philippines. Dangerous maneuvers in China and Philippines cat-and-mouse sea chase. What is the South China Sea dispute? The incident took place on Wednesday, the second day of a 3-day mission to the Second Thomas Shoal. The journey proceeded in raw seas due to an oncoming typhoon and the seasonal monsoon. A little past dawn, the Filipinos were met by what appeared to be the Chinese Coast Guard, as well as 2 blue militia vessels with Chinese markings. The 2 Philippine Coast Guard ships were escorting the Filipino commercial boats, which carried supplies that are good for roughly 1 month. When the 2 countries' vessels encountered each other, the Chinese ships sent radio challenges to the Filipinos, asking them to leave. When the Philippine ships refused, the Chinese aligned themselves in box shape to block them. The 2 Filipino commercial ships got past the blockade because of their small size, a strategy that has worked in recent months. But the 2 Philippine Coast Guard ships were too big to pass, and at one point got within a few meters of the Chinese ships. They were so close that their crews took photos of each other. A Philippines military plane was also seen flying overhead. The Philippine ships turned back at sundown when they confirmed that the supplies had been delivered and that the 2 commercial ships were safely on their way back to port. All 4 vessels made it back to port, several hours' drive north of the capital Manila on Thursday. China Coast Guard and militia ships as seen from Philippine Coast Guard ship. Image source, Bibis Vermasemonet. Image caption. The BBC saw Chinese Coast Guard ships blocking the resupply mission. Aside from sailing dangerously close to Filipino ships, China has been accused of firing water cannons and shining lasers on Philippine ships to drive them away. Manila also claims that China deploys militia ships to boost its Coast Guard patrols in the disputed sea. In 2016 na, an international arbitration court at The Hague ruled that China's vast sea claims had no basis, acting on the case brought forth by Manila. Beijing has refused to recognize it. In recent months, tensions have been especially high between China and the Philippines, which recently strengthened military ties with the U.S., Beijing's chief rival for influence in the region. The Chinese Coast Guard condemned the latest resupply mission, saying the Filipinos entered what it calls the Nansha Islands without its permission. The Philippines calls it Ayungin Shoal, after a small fish that is local delicacy.